A warm welcome back to your latest industry recap. Wizz Airways has laid out some pretty ambitious future targets that it hopes to reach, and aircraft groundings are impacting Airbus planes, one-upping in there, with Wizz Air confirming that groundings across its Airbus fleet are ongoing, despite its own best efforts to resolve the complications. The airline's senior executive spoke at the International Society of Transport Aircraft Trading Conference, taking place in Prague a couple of weeks ago, and reviewed the situation, which continues to evolve, and to try and find solutions while also talking about the outlook. As part of the guidance, Wizz Air expects to see its entire Airbus fleet unparked by the end of 2027 at the earliest, based on their current information available. This is subject to change, but it is something the business is currently operating under. With this still 2 years away from full resolution, the airline also shared its current outlook, which is far from positive, as groundings stemming from engine-related concerns are just not improving. Bottlenecks in the Pratt & Whitney operation, the manufacturer of the engines on the affected aircraft, persist, and as a result, improvements have yet to be implemented, meaning dozens of the airline's valuable aircraft remain on the ground. Fleet data indicating at the time of recording that Wizz Air is facing a challenge with 51 aircraft parked across its business, but more importantly, 38 of those are from the A320neo family and are therefore affected by the Pratt & Whitney engine crisis that I'm talking about. With 167 of the A321neos delivered, Wizz Air is currently operating only 131 of these. That is because the bulk load of the groundings are for the high-capacity model. 36 of the 38 are on the ground. Wizz Air has continued to express its own frustration at any given opportunity regarding the groundings. While communication is ongoing between all parties, improvement remains a goal that is yet to be achieved. For a budget company like Wizz Air, the ramifications of such challenges are quite significant, as the airline faces intense competition in a highly competitive market. Having aircraft on the ground instead of in use is detrimental to their performance and growth into markets where competitors could be leaping ahead. For Wizz Air as well, battling these Airbus groundings have been all the more frustrating due to the prolonged duration of the issue. While yes, the airline is saying that all should be done in the next, say, 2 years, you've got to remember as well that it's already been ongoing for more than 2 years. You're therefore looking at half a decade period where an airline has been unable to use a brand new asset to the best of its advantage. Unfortunately, what Wizz Air is experiencing as well with its Airbus aircraft is absolutely not an isolated issue. Airlines right around the world have been experiencing something similar, whether it is the struggling Spirit Airlines, Air New Zealand, Air Baltic, JetBlue, the list goes on, and no one, and most airlines are not necessarily spared from this in some capacity. Vietnam Airlines even experienced similar on larger aircraft, as it's not just Pratt & Whitney, but they were facing complications on their 787 with Rolls-Royce engine issues. Over to the final story, and a pretty big one if I do say so myself. It's concerning Wizz Airways, who have outlined ambitious targets of growth in an interview with Bloomberg. The airline's chief executive officer, David Neeleman, saying that there's sufficient enough demand, according to him, in the United States to support the airline's eventual growth to a fleet of 400 planes. A jump to 400, which I'm sure you'd imagine is considered quite extreme, comes from the airline now only having a fleet of just over 50 delivered aircraft. The A220 operation now includes 48 planes. However, unfortunately, the US carrier has long battled engine woes, shock horror here, from Pratt & Whitney, and it's made it a little bit of a challenge to continue operating its fleet to its full capacity, with 6 aircraft currently grounded due to this. Despite obstacles in operating the A220, this has absolutely not deterred Wizz Airways from discussing growth targets moving forward, as it looks to increase its market share, and with that, its position in the United States itself. Much of Wizz Airways' focus rests on underserved markets across the United States, and based on studies that have taken place, Neeleman believes that there is a world where their fleet could grow to 400 planes. With just 50, like I said present thereabouts. It is quite a leap, but it can come in due course. Breeze is directly looking towards other airlines in the US, which have had a harder time with stability. Neeleman hoping that they can grow in a sustainable manner and avoid something like what happened to Spirit Airlines, which we know entered bankruptcy protection for the second time in as many years. With international services launching in 2026, this next frontier of the airline's ops enables more efficient aircraft utilization, but it also enables the expansion of its operations in the long term, with many new routes now possible. While the A220 plays a very big role, one aircraft for the moment that Neeleman has no interest in acquiring is the A320neo family, which many would consider to be the logical next step up. Neeleman argues that adding the A320neo would overcomplicate the business by adding another fleet type that is unnecessary. Instead, they have championed the release of the A220-500, similarly to Air Baltic, both very much keen on a higher capacity A220 model, which would be the perfect bridge between the A220 and the A320neo for some airlines that are unwilling to, say, make the jump to a totally new and ultimately quite demanding aircraft program. Thank you very much for tuning into this video. If you have any thoughts, you're more than welcome to drop them down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, take care, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow for your next industry recap.